Hello all and welcome to Movie Bears Podcast TV. I'm Brad Harris, and as usual, I'm joined by a couple of other super hunky dudes to discuss the TV shows that are near and dear to our hearts. We had a bit of a summer hiatus. We were back last week. It's great to be back again. Casey Scott, welcome back.
Hello. Good to be back. In 2 weeks in a row, very nice, very nice change.
I know, right? Summer hiatuses suck.
I know.
But thank
Gotta
God
go back to the office and do the MBP thing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. But we have new TV now, which is really exciting. So
yeah, absolutely.
So that's good. And of course, we can't forget the fantastical, the wonderful, the amazing.
Yeah.
Stephen Heslin, welcome back, Stephen.
Thank you. It's it is nice to be back 2 weeks in a row. This is getting kind of weird. We don't want to jinx it.
I know, right? Thankfully, there's a lot of new stuff for the next couple weeks.
Yeah, for like the next month, there's like new stuff every week.
Definitely, we've got so much coming up in October, right? We have Flash, we have Arrow, we have Walking Dead coming back.
Right.
We have
I just saw the trailer for Walking Dead. It looks good.
No, I didn't see that yet.
I guess we know they get out of their predicament at the end.
I know. That's the only thing about the trailer is that it kind of spoils, I think, a few things. But there's lots of like explosions and stuff. Like it looks kind of grand.
Oh, great.
Yeah, this is the season that Michael Bay came in to help Robert Kirkman.
Right.
It looks like it.
Because the story wasn't that important anyway, so it's not.
Megan Fox joins up as one of the survivors.
I think she'd be better as one of the zombies, probably. More range for her, probably.
My goodness! Oh my goodness! And then Optimus just pulls up like randomly, and he's like Rick Grimes. Anyway. Grimes. Well, we have a full show tonight. We are going to be discussing Gotham, the new Batman prequel series airing on Fox, as well as How to Get Away with Murder, which is ABC. Very late night for ABC, considering some of the stuff we saw, and we'll talk about how they got away with some of the stuff they showed.
Oh, yes.
A little crazy. We'll circle back. And then the other thing is we will be discussing Survivor. So this week's show title is Gotham Murder Survivor. I'm a little bit proud of that because it encapsulates all three shows, and I think it works well. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be a fun conversation. But since we do have so much to discuss, are you guys ready to just jump right into the thick of it?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
All right, perfect. Then here we go. Just to kind of give you a bit of a, sort of outline before we start for those who may be joining us for the first time. Basically, our format works, in terms of we'll be spoiling the shows that we discuss. So if you've not seen them yet, you may want to, if you're listening live, step away for a few minutes while we're discussing a show you've not yet seen. If you're listening in iTunes or Stitcher, feel free to refer to our show notes, and you'll have a little time index. You can skip ahead as need be. But without further ado, here we go, our discussion of Gotham. I totally missed an opportunity. I could have worn a Batman shirt today, and I failed.
Yeah.
Epic fail.
I failed. I've been watching
a Riddler mask. That would have been good too.
Or even a Riddler mask. Yeah.
Well,
I the Riddler mask.
I just flew. I flew back from Seattle today, and on the plane I was watching that movie Neighbors, which was kind of fun. It had moments, but the scene outside with where they were discussing Batmans, and it's like an older person talking to a younger person. It's like, who's your Batman? It's like Christian Bale. It's like, my Batman is Michael Keaton, and so it's like, no, it's I'm Batman. It's like, no, it's Michael Keaton. It's I'm Batman. And like the different ways to say I'm Batman, I thought was an interesting conversation.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. And and this show, it's, I don't know. Do you think it's I mean, maybe this is a good starting point. So having watched the pilot episode, do you think that this is kind of like a Batman Begins sort of esque lead-in, or do you think it's totally setting itself apart from that movie trilogy?
I personally think that they're trying to set themselves apart. I think they want to try and follow Gordon, his rise to commissioner much more than Batman. Although, they are focusing on the Batman mythos and the world and the storyline and everything, and there are definitely very strong points where they focus on that. But I think they're trying to kind of take it from another angle. They're not trying to do the same thing you've seen time and time again. Whether that works or not is up for discussion right now. Should I just dive into it? Or?
Do it. Yeah. I mean, you bring up a great point, right? So,
yeah.
What is your feeling of their interpretation? Obviously, they've thrown just about every character in the book into the first episode.
Yeah, which I think is kind of a problem. There was a little bit too much going on. And number one, the whole Selena Kyle, just popping in and voyeuristically looking at things. It's like, why do that? And, why have this young Catwoman, sort of teen Catwoman, just lurking and watching things. Uh-oh, what?
I saw somebody who's going to do an effect.
I was looking for steampunk goggles in the Google effects thing. And all there is, and that's not really Catwoman-esque. But what we could do? How about this? We could.
There
do
you
this.
go. That's much better.
Little cat action.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, Steven. I heard that alert, and I was like, "Uh-oh."
No, I was like, "Did we lose someone?"
No, I was like, "No." Our third co-host, the special effects and soundboard.
The soundboard operator.
Right.
But yeah, they, having her pop in and out just seemed kind of weird, and but then they also had Penguin, and also this fish character, and I don't know if she's an actual character from the comics or if this is someone they made up. Maybe you guys know.
Apparently she is, but
she's not a major character as far as or at least I think she would have been brought up before. But that's played by Jada Pinkett Smith, who was kind of meh.
I thought she was great, actually.
Oh, okay.
You know why? Because I think she reminds me a lot of. As a whole, I thought the show was kind of a train wreck, but it's kind of like it reminded me a lot of Showgirls, where there was one cast member who got it, and that's Gina Gershon. She basically was a drag queen in Showgirls.
Yeah,
Jada Pinkett Smith is basically a drag queen in Gotham. I think she kind of gets that that camp sensibility, and nobody else on the show gets it at all.
Well, that's the thing, is that I guess that's the conflict that I had, is what tone they were trying to set, because then you've got the guy from the cop show.
Ben McKenzie?
Yeah, Ben McKenzie.
From Southland.
From Southland, thank you. Who is playing it very deep and dark, and I'm gonna find the people who killed your parents, and he's taking it so seriously and everything.
It's like, calm down, dude.
I know, but then
you've got Southland.
then you've got teen Catwoman, who's just running around. Then you've got Jada Pinkett Smith, who's playing it super camp, and then you've got this Penguin character who's just weird, and I didn't really get it, and so it was sort of all over the place. I will say, it's a show that I'd be willing to give it at least 5 episodes. It intrigued me enough to see where they want to go with it. The one thing that stuck in me that I really kind of bothered me is why they had to do the recreation of Batman's origin, the shooting in the alley. There is absolutely no reason to do that scene, because you've seen it 8 million times. You're not going to do it any differently or better than anyone else has done it before. And on top of it, how interesting would it have been, if you really do want to focus on Commissioner Gordon, to just have them get a call that says there's been a shooting in an alley, and he shows up afterwards. You fill in the blanks. You know what happened there.
Yeah.
Why did you have to really show it?
Well, there's that shooting. The only version of that I like is, favorite dance with the devil in the pale moonlight.
Yes, I
like,
totally agree.
And
yeah,
I was like, that scene is great because that's and that's. I think Tim Burton's Batman kind of gets swept under the rug a lot because of the reimaginings by Christopher Nolan. Yeah. The Tim Burton Batman is amazing. And,
it is.
And that sequence is so good with the shooting that this. Yeah, I mean, this was just a really bad TV version of it.
Well,
it didn't feel necessary. I agree with you, Steven.
I think, to be fair, you may have new people who are coming on board that maybe aren't as familiar. Maybe they haven't seen, all of the movies and all of the cartoons and read the comics. I don't think that's as likely, but I understand maybe needing to set that up a little. My problem with it is that, for a show that's supposed to be from Jim Gordon's perspective, it's all about his rise to power. The show does a lot of perspective skipping around.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, is this show about Bruce Wayne or is it about Jim Gordon? Because you know what I mean? It just seemed a little jarring, I guess, how they handled that scene. So I both understand the need to maybe quickly touch on it, but it also seemed a little I don't know. Maybe it just wasn't as well, done as it could have been. I love the idea of just getting a call and showing up on scene. It's already happened. They're already dead. You can still creepily comfort Bruce Wayne. Be like, "There's light. There's light, Bruce, and it's in my." Well, anyway.
Yeah. It's in my van. It's in the back of my van.
But yeah. So Casey, you said the show's kind of all over the place, kind of a mess. I mean, did you like it?
Did you like it? I did like enough of it that I do want to keep watching. It's not like Red Band Society last week where I was just like, F this S. I was just like, FTS, I'm not watching this crap. But this, I think Jada Pinkett Smith makes me want to watch it more. But not much else, honestly. I really like Jada Pinkett Smith on this, which I'm not a big Jada Pinkett Smith fan, but...
Yeah, the only other actor that I really liked was Jonathan Dohan, the guy who played Falcone.
Oh, God, he's been around forever, yeah.
He did a great job as Falcone.
Definitely.
True.
Chilling.
But it's interesting because if the show's supposed to be from Jim Gordon's perspective, Jim Gordon is like a total milquetoast boring guy on this show. And Donald Logue, who I love in everything in general, he's okay, but I don't see how all of a sudden he developed this allegiance to Jim Gordon in the snap of the finger. In one scene he's like, I don't want to be your partner, and then 2 scenes later, no, I'm going to defend him and I'm going to go save him from these bad guys. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of room for a lot of more character development and a lot more interesting paths to go down. I thought it was really lame that they already introduced Poison Ivy. I guess that's supposed to be Poison Ivy, the little girl. Yeah. I was like, are you fucking serious? Come on now. Let's calm down here. We're going to encounter every single villain. Okay, so what, is somebody going to run into some Mr. Freeze somewhere down the road? Or, it was just like, come on now. The major thing I took major issue with was casting the skinny beanpole as Cobblepot, the penguin. I was like, are you serious? Nobody called him the Penguin because he walks like a penguin. They call him the Penguin because he's a fat guy who's shaped like a penguin. Nobody's going to say, has anyone ever told you walk like a penguin? Which he does not, by the way.
He doesn't. How do you walk like a penguin?
Yeah, so I was just like, major fail, Gotham. Major fail.
Yeah. It's hipster penguin.
I know.
It's a penguin.
Skinny jeans penguin.
Who probably bent his iPhone.
Right. I was like, this is some bullshit. I was like, there is a fat actor in Hollywood who is crying because he didn't get to play the Penguin.
I know, right? Come on. Yeah. But this show is obviously taking some liberties with things. I mean, Penguin's not fat, but then again, he has 20 years to get fat. Maybe this show will follow his fish/donut eating arc, and we'll see him get fatter each season. Who knows?
Right.
But I'm really confused because we have Barbara Gordon in this show.
Right.
But yet she's Jim's love interest and not his daughter. And Barbara Gordon becomes Batgirl. So I'm really confused about that. Not sure what's going on there. And then I was also confused. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Maybe we can talk about
you go ahead. What were we going to say?
Okay. Well, I thought that I'm only going by the old Batman show, like the classic Batman, where Yvonne Craig was Batgirl or whatever. And so she was Commissioner Gordon's daughter, but I don't think she had a mother. So is it possible that Batgirl is Barbara Gordon, but she's named Barbara after her dead mother?
Maybe.
That could
I don't
be,
know.
and that would be more dramatic.
That's a huge stretch, though. That's, you know, that's like I'm giving the creators of the show a lot of credit. They're thinking way down the road.
Maybe.
That could be.
But I did notice that, Brad, and I was like, wait a minute, Barbara Gordon? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe, you know, I'm not like a super Batman comic person.
No, me neither.
So maybe Jim Gordon's wife was named Barbara at one point. I just did a quick Wikipedia search that is not helpful, so...
Oh, no.
Who knows? Wikipedia, you have failed me. But then I was also confused because, you know, Jim Gordon's partner is named Harvey, and I was watching this with a filmmaker, bear documentarian friend who's staying with us, and we were both like, oh, is he supposed to be Harvey Dent? Like, what is... No, that can't be Harvey, but they're calling him Harvey. Did they ever, like, refer to his last name in the episode, and maybe I just missed it? I know from looking at the casting page, he's Harvey Bullock. But did they say his name in the episode, or we just missed it?
I don't know, but I know he's supposed to be Bullock, which is a character in the storylines. Like Bullock has been in, you know, the other movies and TV shows. So yeah, I think they said Detective Bullock at some point.
Okay. We probably just missed it when we were like trying to figure out who the fuck Barbara Gordon is supposed to be.
Right. And then this lesbian subplot, which is kind of that was the most clumsily, sloppily handled same-sex lust conversation I've ever seen on TV.
Yeah.
Bar none. It was awful. I was just like, are you shitting me?
He's all like, but does Jim know you like I do?
Yeah, exactly. It was just kind of like, I expected like a big zoom in, like a telenovela. I was like, oh, come on. You've got to be kidding me. This is so ridiculous. But then it also makes her look like she's this vindictive, jealous lesbian lover. And it's like, okay, great. We need to know what, because it's 1964 all over again. We need another venomous lesbian on television. Great.
Speaking of 1964, when is this set? Is this 90s? Mid-90s, late 90s?
I thought it was current.
Their cell phones do not look current.
I thought they were like messing with the time again.
I don't know. Maybe it's not important. But
I
like
would have
the
loved
cars,
for the set in the way past. You know, that would have been much more interesting set design and costumes and stuff. Yeah.
Could have been like Mad Men meets Batman.
Right. Or like Dick Tracy. Or like Dick Tracy meets Batman. That would have been awesome.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful colors.
Yeah. I just noticed that like the cars were definitely an older style. The technology seemed to be a little on the older end, but maybe they're sort of like intentionally blurring technology and time. So that it doesn't.
Because it's an alternate universe where Apple doesn't exist.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Because
where Sprint is the top phones.
Right. Instead of the iPhone, they have the Wayne phone. You know. It's
right.
The Y phone. But yeah. So. but yeah. So for me, I mean, I like the Batman movies. I read a lot of the Batman comics, especially since they rebooted Batman a few years ago for the New 52. And I really like Batman as a character. Obviously, you know, this show is not really about Batman. Really, right? I mean, Bruce Wayne is obviously an ancillary character. I imagine there will be some touchstones, but it's really all about Jim Gordon, and I'm excited to sort of see his rise to power. You know, I like the notion of, you know, Gotham is a corrupt city. Obviously, the cops have deals with the mob, and this whole thing about I have to be on the inside in order to spark change. You know, I mean,
God,
that
here
makes
we go.
logical sense. But
he doesn't spark change, is what because we know the future. He does not spark change.
Yeah.
Because Batman has to come along. So it's like,
Wow.
listen, dude, we've seen the future. You suck. Like, what are you doing? You do nothing.
Maybe this future will be different, and Gotham will become so awesome. There's never a need for Batman.
I would love that. Actually, that would be a major game changer. That would be totally bold and adventurous.
He becomes Bunny Man or something.
Right.
Or Birdman.
Birdman, oh yeah.
Ooh, Birdman. Oh, I would love that.
Tie
Or
into
Space
the movie.
Ghost. Yeah.
Space Ghost.
Right. Space Ghost can come along.
Oh my God. So, total aside, I always loved Space Ghost's like gauntlets with the buttons, and he could like turn invisible, and I always wanted a space monkey too, but I never got one. Yeah.
But I think Steven mentioned, Steven mentioned something really that I agree with, is that the show doesn't know what tone it's going for.
Yeah.
And it can't be too overwhelmingly dark because it is network television, and it's it's trying to reach a young audience. Right, they want a younger audience. But it goes from these campy moments, like, I mean, there was the moment in the premiere when little Bruce Wayne was like was he like stepping to the edge of the building, and then Alfred steps out to greet Jim Gordon, and I was like hoping that he would fall and like Alfred would catch him by accident or something, and then I was like, why do I want the show to take this detour into that kind of tone? I was like, well, that would have been better than what we were given, which was some ham-fisted speech that he got. It's just like, we've seen this on superhero shows before. He should have jumped, and Alfred should have caught him and be like, oh, again, Mr. Wayne.
Yeah.
Like,
Speaking of Alfred, I didn't like the way Alfred was sort of played. He was kind of aggressive and kind of a dick.
Yeah,
what's wrong with that, mate?
Right. I was like, mate, so he's in Australia now.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
His last name is Pennyworth, not Bushwhack. Like, come on.
Bushwhack.
Yeah.
Not kangaroo poop or whatever. No, I didn't like him either. I was just kind of like, isn't he supposed to be a little more, isn't he supposed to come from a family of gentlemen like that who have worked in service, like Downton Abbey kind of shit? And he's acting like they picked him up off the streets from like a gang of hooligans and put a suit on him, and I was like, okay, raise our kid.
See, in this universe, Alfred was an Australian kickboxer down on his luck when Thomas and Martha Wayne found him, you see. Yeah.
They needed someone with skills to take out any possible assassins for their son.
His daughter, Selena Kyle, has a lesbian love interest with Poison Ivy.
Right. But somebody made an interesting point about the Catwoman character, which is that I think it was AV Club actually. I read their write-up of the premiere and agree with pretty much most of it. Their concerns were that, okay, she looks like a cat, that's great, but the fact that she has no lines yet makes me very nervous that she can't act and she's going to be terrible. And so I think that's a valid concern.
Yeah. I thought maybe they were trying to make it be like, this is why you're seeing all these stories, is because you're following this cat, and as it gets to this, you're seeing this story, and as this cat goes over here. But they didn't really do it enough, so she just sort of popped in and popped out, and you're like, why am I watching her? It's just weird.
I almost want to go back and rewatch the first episode, Where's Waldo style, and look for her in every scene.
No, because the show is so lazy that there's no way that you could miss her anywhere. They want you to see her front and center. They're not very skilled, subtle storytellers. these filmmakers.
Oh boy.
But that's not a bad idea. It would have been, if it was a different kind of show, I would agree with you and say go back and see where she is, because you never know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. She's peeking in the window behind Alfred during that big speech. Clawing at the thing, scratching at the back door.
I think I'm with you guys. I will probably give this 4 more episodes. We'll see where it goes. I will say it didn't overly excite me.
Me either.
Just in general, but who knows? Who knows where it could go? So we'll keep watching, I guess. Any other thoughts on Gotham? Is there anything else we've not yet said? No?
We should move on.
I can't wait for the Flash. I'll say
yes. Oh my God.
An Arrow to come back.
Totally. We went to see Tusk and
I want to see that.
yeah, and Love is Strange. So for Movie Bears podcast this week, the episode title will be Tusk is Strange. I'm on a title roll this week.
You are on a title roll.
I should be taken out back and shot for the puns. But anyway, so the cool thing. Oh, what is that noise?
Washing machine going on. All right.
I don't know. I don't hear anything.
Oh wow! It was a big gust of wind.
Oh,
maybe
it was Catwoman or the Flash running by.
Maybe it was the Flash running by saying, "Thank you for plugging my."
That's right.
I have no idea.
We saw these two movies over the weekend, and they were airing the commercial for the Flash premiere in front of the movies. And I am just totally pumped for this show. Every time I see that trailer.
I'm so scared about that show. It's one of the shows I'm excited about, but I'm scared they're going to do it badly.
Really?
And I know
word of mouth is really strong on it.
I know. It's and a friend of mine, wrote an episode for it, so it's like I'm really looking for it, but
oh no! Are you saying that we have to love it on the show then?
No. He got let go of the show. But,
jeez. Yeah, does that mean he's available to come on the podcast and talk?
No.
Oh, damn! I was gonna say.
But yeah, he's still really proud of it, and he was really excited, and he really loves the show. But it's just every time I see that actor in the suit, like I'm like, this could go either way. I don't know. There's something about it that's like this could go. Because the thing about the Arrow is it's sort of grounded a little bit. They've gotten less grounded over time. But it felt very grounded at first. At least they started grounded and expanded. And this one, just right off the bat, is like I'm in a suit and I'm lightning fast. So
I get the feeling though that Smallville was very much like it tried to be a little groundy, but it was definitely more of the fantastical. And this really seems to be carrying over some of the dark, grounded grit, at least initially, like tonally in terms of what we're looking at and how it's shown. And I'm hoping that since it's from the same showrunners, obviously there's a more fantastical bit, but I'm hoping they're able to strike a good balance. I'm with you, Steve. I'm excited, but I'm also a little nervous about where it's going to go. But early audiences who've seen it, press who have seen the premiere episode, are just raving about it. So
I'm happy for that. I would love it to be a success.
Yeah, me too.
But it's kind of interesting. How come the CW has sort of limited means, considering it's like the bastard child of the networks, and Fox has like every means available, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has every means available.
It's all about the
CW is making. That's probably that's probably it. It's got to be it.
Yeah. It's all about the people. You could have all the money in the world, but if you don't have the right people picking the right things, I think AMC is a perfect example of that. They have somebody that's in production development that is saying that's an interesting story that I think people will want to see, and they have had hit after hit after hit.
Yeah. Definitely.
So.
All right. Well, there's our plug for the Flash and Arrow.
One less plug for one of us at the end of the show.
Exactly.
Right. All right. Well, let's shift gears and talk a little how to get away with murder. All right. So, this is a show on ABC, which is sort of interesting in that it is late night ABC, and I guess they're able to get away. Interesting, get away with a few things that you wouldn't expect.
Having an oral sex scene on TV.
Right, exactly. And we got like two of those. You know what I mean? So we had Viola Davis like going down on her boyfriend guy, and then we had the gay dude like having butt sex.
Right.
I'm like, is this Showtime or ABC? What is this? So yeah, so let's talk about it, right? So Casey, why don't you kick us off about this show? Give us a little bit of background about what it's about, and whether you liked it and whether you'll keep watching it.
Well, it's been branded as another Shonda Rhimes show, but she's not the showrunner. It's one of her proteges that's doing it. So I guess that should be clarified. Yeah, it's her production company, and it's someone that she's sort of built, and he's worked with her on Grey's Anatomy, Private Practice, and Scandal, but then he created the show on his own. So,
Okay.
but I think she's definitely going to press to help the show be successful because it's her production company. So, it's kind of like Oprah promoting a Harpo show that she didn't have anything to do with. But it feels very Scandal. The pacing is very Scandal. Viola Davis is a law professor / lawyer, and her class is aptly titled "How to Get Away with Murder," where she's it's a very cutthroat law class, and she hires 4 of her best students, or the students that are the most unscrupulous, as it turns out, to work for her law firm. But then there's also now an added murder mystery element, which honestly I don't really give a crap about. But I was just kind of like, come on now, like you had me at Viola Davis. You don't need me to keep turning in for this stupid murder mystery, which I don't really care who did it. But that's the only bad thing I'd say about this pilot. Actually, is that this murder just I could care less who did it and and why the students are involved. I was just I love Viola Davis and just about everything. And so she's the reason why I watched it.
Did you like her in this?
I thought she was really good in it. I didn't love her in it. I thought she was. I don't know why I'm comparing the two. I guess because press is going nuts because we have 2 now. The 2 cast members, the 2 stars of The Help, are now anchoring 2 shows on network TV. She's better than Octavia Spencer in Ray-Ban Society, but then she's always better than Octavia Spencer. I said it.
Wow.
She didn't deserve that damn Oscar. I'll just put it that way. But no, I mean Viola Davis is great. The character's interesting. There's a lot hinted at in the pilot that you are supposed to look forward to learning about. I'm looking forward to learning. You see that she is this cutthroat person. She's very manipulative. She's not exactly She's not exactly fighting for the good guys. And that way she's a lot like Olivia Pope on Scandal. So I feel like if you've seen Scandal and you like Scandal, you're going to like this show. I preferred Scandal, actually, to this.
I hear ya.
Yeah, but then Scandal also has those issues of this romance that is ridiculous, and so Scandal has the stupid romance. How to Get Away with Murder has this murder that is really just not that interesting.
We've only gotten a dollop of murder, right? So who knows?
Like, can we get back to some really cutthroat courtroom scenes? Can we see Viola Davis do some shit? Like, I don't care about these kids.
Yeah,
I know.
That's the problem. Too much of the kids in the pilot.
At one point, we had like 12 minutes with no Viola Davis, and I'm like, I feel rooked. Come on.
Yeah.
Then she came back, and I was happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, Casey, are you going to keep watching?
I'm gonna give it 5 episodes. I think. Yeah. Okay. It's not. It's once again EW has failed me. It's not one of the top 6 new shows. If it's one of the 6 best new shows this season, then this is a terrible season so far. Because there's a lot of lackluster TV going on.
Yeah.
At least on the networks, I will say that. Network TV, once again, you're kind of not knocking it out of the park. Cable has you bent over a barrel.
Yeah. Cable and streaming.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Well, how about you, Steven? What did you think of?
It's a show that I kind of feel the same way. I'll give it some time. I do, obviously I've said on the show I like Scandal. Although Casey, when you said something I think on Facebook or Twitter the other day, I totally agree with you. Of like, all right, Scandal, you can kind of do away with the glass shard, in front of the camera thing. Like, it's a little overdone at this point and kind of ridiculous. And I was worried that this show would do something similar, and so far they haven't.
No, they haven't done something so ridiculously stylistic that it distracts from everything else going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. They haven't done that yet.
Not yet. So, first off, I don't really like the title of the show.
Kind of shorten it.
I mean, for season upon season upon season, like, how are you going to sustain that title? That's the thing I don't really like. I mean, the thing about Scandal is there's always scandals going on, so you can get that title sort of works. But How to Get Away with Murder, I mean, I guess her class is called that, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan of it. The Viola Davis, I thought, was okay, but didn't really stand out. And the whole show, she has this aggressive character where I'm a tough woman who comes in here and you don't rob another student of an opportunity to learn, and I'm going to put you in your place, and everyone has a seat assignment, and I know everything that's going on. And yet there's this scene towards the end with that one student,
Oh yeah.
you know, where she goes into the bathroom with him and she's like, I'm sorry, and like starts crying. It's like, whoa, what is this? Like, it just was completely out of character and weird and touchy.
I thought that was her being super manipulative because she
Yeah.
knew the kind of guy that he was.
I thought
She
so
read
too.
it very easily.
But you know, for that scene to work and for you to hook me, as soon as he left, she needed to like change face or something like that.
She just straighten up and go back out to fighting.
She didn't. So it kind of made me feel like, was that real? I don't know. It's just weird. But the other thing that kind of bothered me was these teasers leading up to the show were like, you know, building up this thing of like, this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and then it cuts to Viola Davison's like, and that's how you get away with murder. And, you know, so I'm waiting for this scene where like she's going to lay out their plan, and I'm going to be so blown away that when she gives that line, you're like, yeah! But they, you know, they have all these students get up and give all their plans about, you know, she said every student in the class has to go up and give their plan about how we're going to get away with murder. And they go through one by one. There's a montage sequence, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, okay, good, but none of them were better than the plan we're going to do. It's a 3-step plan. Step 1, discredit the, you know, this. Step 2, go on the office. Step 3, do this. And that's how you get away with murder. And it was like basic defense terminology.
Right.
And I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, that's how.
For some reason, Steven, I'm imagining you sitting like sitting in front of the TV with like a banner and like pom poms or something, like, waiting to jump up and scream at the TV like, yeah, that's how you do murder, yeah, and you weren't able to do that, so I was like,
no,
I'm money on these props.
It just falls out of my mouth a little bit.
You had like your whistle for like New Year's. It didn't happen. And
I know. That's the thing is, I think
it,
it was so blown up by these teasers. You know, Viola Davis is the most amazing actress, and you know this is going to be the most amazing show. And I'm like, oh my god! And I like Scandal, so I'm hoping for it, and it just didn't live up to that expectation.
Right. But you did get single teardrop down a cheek, Viola Davis.
Yes, that's true.
That's what wins the Oscar, and that's what will get her an Emmy. You know.
Yeah.
Well, that's what should have gotten her the Oscar from Meryl Streep.
Yeah. But I. You know, I think that you were saying there were too much kids. I agree. I don't know who the focus is on. Again, you know, there's a weird issue there of like, is the focus the kids or is the focus Viola Davis or is it both? But I will say, out of the kids, the one standout was, and I wrote his name down because I don't know who he is.
The Ottery one?
Alfred Enoch as Wes.
The milquetoast, the goody two shoes.
I think he's got some interesting screen presence. There's something about him, and even just the way he talks to girls, you can tell he's hitting on them, you know, and like when they're like, no, you're like, that's the same response any woman would get because he's just like, you know, his neighbor hands him a bottle and he's like, well, maybe we should crack this open. No, you know, like it's like, like he's fumbling lines, and there's something about him.
I wish they'd let him keep his British accent, but then there's no way no women would not drop their panties for him. So.
That's true.
They had to make him have a boring American accent.
Yeah,
I dropped mine for a British accent. So.
I know, right?
Hey,
or Welsh or something.
Oh, wait.
It's interesting because you know comparing this premiere episode to like Scandal, and I think probably Shonda Rhimes might be the key ingredient here. This guy created the show is no Shonda Rhimes. He may be her protege, but he didn't learn. You know what it is? I think that like women and gays make Shonda Rhimes, and so there really isn't anything really like juicy about this premiere episode. Like Scandal, you had like. You know, some juicy stuff going on. It got hot and heated and stuff, and this didn't have that. Like it had like a gay sex scene sort of, which was surprising, but it wasn't.
But I agree with you. With Scandal, it started off with like the team comes in on a scandal, you know, that's happening in in Washington, and it's just like,
Right.
and this is how the team operates, and you're just like, oh, you're in awe watching them, like you're watching masters,
Right.
conduct an orchestra, and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And
Right.
here it's just like when they are in the courtroom, they're sort of fumbling through, and you were sort of impressed by some of the stuff the students did, like sleeping with the guy to get the email,
Right,
and the other
right.
woman, the other girl spending all night to find out that this one woman's colorblind. It's like, oh, okay, that's cool, but
Right.
there wasn't anything that you were just impressed by, and I think that's why I was waiting for that moment in the classroom of like, wow, she's brilliant, but I was like,
I don't know. I was kind of impressed that she mobilized her students to get involved with the case and have them do all the legwork while she goes to parties.
Yeah, it goes down.
He gets it on with a yeah.
It was so funny when, you knew what was happening, but when you see her back and then this big black guy comes up, you're like, whoa!
That was a good cartoonish little moment. I was like, what?
I'm like, I thought she was mouthy before, but now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was, I'm definitely going to keep watching it. Sorry, I have an itch on my foot. But it's not Scandal.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Shonda Rhimes guy, but
Well, I've never seen Scandal, so maybe I'm in a good spot here because I don't have that yardstick to measure it to. So for me, just sort of looking at it on its own, I actually liked it. I agree. I think it spent way too much time with the college kids or law school kids, I guess, and not as much Viola Davis as I was hoping for. I'm hoping we'll have more of her as the show goes on. But my concern is the show really seems to be built for like one season. I'm really wondering if we're going to have more, right? Because we have the class, which is the semester long, and then we know at the end of the semester, around Christmas time, right? They have her husband, and he's dead, right?
Yeah.
And so it just feels like the whole season is set up to take place over the span of 3 months. We'll eventually catch up, figure out what happened with the murder, whatever, and then it's over and done. And I'm like, well, are they, if they're going to do multi-season, she hires 4 people every semester or whatever to work in her firm. So, will it follow her from class to class and new case to new case?
That would probably be more interesting, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just not sure how it's sort of going to work.
Her contract stipulates that its season's only supposed to be 13 to 15 episodes.
Okay.
It's going to be like a cable series length.
Okay.
It might be done by September, December,
Right.
January.
Right.
Yeah.
Could
Sweeps.
be. Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, definitely I'm interested enough to keep watching. I do love Viola Davis. Don't get me wrong, I love me some Octavia Spencer, but Viola Davis really brings the heart for me, and I do like her quite a bit. So I liked seeing her be sort of like bitchy and take charge rather than weepy most of the time. But she does seem to have maybe a tender side, but I don't know. I'm with you, Stephen. I don't know if that was real or if that was an act or I like you, Casey. I suspect she was maybe putting on a little bit of a show there, but I guess we'll see how things unfold over the season. But you mentioned that EW article, Casey. Those reviewers really get to see like 4 or 5 episodes early.
Yeah, usually, like 2. Yeah, at least the
Yeah.
pilot and like the first 2. Yeah.
Right, typically. So I'm wondering if maybe they've made that designation. Having seen several episodes at this point, maybe it's
possible.
better.
Right.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other thoughts on how to get away with murder?
I don't think so.
No.
A suggestion for a new title, Steven?
Murder teacher or something.
Law Squad.
Law Squad. That's better.
Law Squad. Murder Squad.
Murder Squad.
How about carpet roll?
The carpet rollers. Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh my goodness! All right.
I would love it if they had opening credits like Power Rangers for some reason.
That would be funny.
I don't know why I just thought of that, but
You just see Viola Davis like tumbling around on the ground and like jumping up with her like laser pistol. You know?
Yeah. How to get away with murder.
Doing a high kick. And...
Then she like leaps into her giant Tyrannosaur Zord that's like carrying the scales of justice, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of scales of justice immunity idols, you guys ready to our Survivor discussion?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
right.
Very much so.
Here we go. Our discussion of the season premiere of Survivor. Disappointed that we didn't get to hear any fucking theme music out of the first episode.
Didn't we?
No. What is that?
No opening credits. It kind of
opening credits. They just jumped right in.
Wow,
yeah.
I missed that.
Yeah. I look forward every season. You know, I know they got rid of their main music guy, but now they still kind of switch it up every season, and didn't get to hear it. Maybe next episode. We'll see. But so yeah, Survivor. Steven, I know you are a huge Survivor fan. Casey, I know you kind of got on board again last season.
You guys,
you know, so I'm really interested to hear what you guys think. Steven, so Blood versus Water, we're doing it again. I know you were kind of excited, if I remember right, about returning to that dynamic, right?
Yeah, I thought it was a really smart dynamic. It had a lot of emotional pull, and it was something I hadn't seen before. I don't think they had done it before, right? Yeah, so it was it was during this, you know, I think resurgence of trying new things and having some good success with those things. It's funny though, as we were watching it though, my husband Sean had a great idea. I was like, you need to tweet that to Jeff Probst of having Blood versus Water, but all twins.
Oh,
would that be interesting?
That would be interesting.
Which twin sort of perform better and everything?
Oh God, these twins were. I can't stand them.
That's the thing, is that the twins on this were horrible. And luckily,
I remember them from Amazing Race, and they kept talking about it. I was like, okay, we don't give a shit that you were on Amazing Race.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone that even watches that show anymore. So
well, and I think she even said on one of the seasons they were the first one to leave. You know.
Yeah, exactly. So like, calm down.
You were on Amazing Race for one episode. Okay, great. So yeah, it's another Blood versus Water season where family members, you know, come together. They're either brother, sister, father, daughter, mother, son, sort of thing, or husband, wife, or in this case, we have two boyfriends, because I don't think they were married, right?
No,
I think they're just boyfriends, but. Which was really cool, and those guys actually kicked ass. They did really good in the challenges. They're really big super fans, so they really know what they're doing, which I thought was really cool and interesting.
Definitely.
But yeah, so they separate them this time. Last time on Blood versus Water, the initial one, they had somebody pick someone initially. They had a leader and said pick someone initially, and they picked that person and then made that person pick another person from another group, and then they had to basically battle it out right in front of them, and one of them was going to leave immediately. This time they said they picked someone who then had to then pick someone on the other team, and they went to Exile Island, which I haven't clarified. Is Exile Island just for this first episode, or do you think it's going to play out throughout the whole season?
I'm not sure.
I hope it's just the first episode, because I don't see it being useful throughout the season.
Because Exile Island is just some place where they go and hang out for a couple days where the rest of the team can bond.
Well, my suspicion, just knowing how they've done Exile Island in previous seasons, I mean, they have kind of an elaborate setup over there. They have that really visually interesting rock spire formation out on the sort of sand pier, right? And then they've got like a little dais set up. So I imagine we're going to be seeing more of Exile Island. I could be wrong, but it's kind of an interesting dynamic in that it temporarily removes people from the game. So the game is happening without them, and then they have to kind of claw their way back in. So,
which I don't feel is as dramatic as what's the other Return Island?
Redemption Island.
Redemption Island.
Where they have a chance to come back. And one person leaves and one person has a chance to come back. I think that is a little bit more dramatic, but I've never seen Exile Island before, so I'm curious to see how it plays out. But in this episode, they came back and integrated fine, it seemed. But one of the teams that lost, the team that lost, they were kind of going after the old person, but then they switched last minute and sort of all piled on to Amazing Race Girls and voted her out, which I was very happy about.
Well, yeah, she made the terrible mistake of assuming that every gay man loves to be called like one of the girls.
Oh, I know.
Thank you. That was the one biggest thing that pissed me off.
I was like, bitch, if you hadn't said that, you would have been fine. But
exactly. You're just one of the girls, and I was like. Luckily, he didn't freak out. He didn't go like, fuck you or anything. But
he took it to tribal council, which is where it matters.
Right.
Exactly. And that's it pissed me off so much. Like, why would you say something like that? Like, it's just such a stupid thing to say. And
it's one thing if he's like, hey girl, hey, like I'm just one of the girls.
But he wasn't like that.
He really isn't.
If he's self-identified like that, that's fine. That's totally fine. But she, she's the one who put that on him.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
So, she sealed her own fate sort of there. But the only thing that was interesting that I noticed in all the votes, when they were showing all the votes, was there was that one random vote, and that was the gay guy.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was trying to say, like, hey, look, I have no allegiance, and, like, trying to prove that by just throwing in a random
I have no idea.
It was just a weird sort of move, like, why not take a stance,
Yeah, he threw his vote away, essentially.
Yeah.
And let everyone else make the decisions.
My thinking was that he did that so that it would look like one of the girls tried to turn on the other ones, and he could still say his vote was for Natalia or whatever her name was. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but strategically that would kind of make sense.
But other than that, so far, I haven't noticed any standout characters I'm gravitating towards yet. I mean, it's only been one episode, but so far, I mean, the first episode was interesting. I mean, they've got an interesting group of people, but it wasn't spectacular. I don't think I'm as hooked as I have been in previous seasons. In the first episode, I mean, I'll watch the entire season. Don't get me wrong, but not every season can be epic levels. And so far, I mean, the thing I'm expecting that is that baseball player to be a douche. Like that's that's not something that is just made up in the media. Like that's, you got to be a douche to be shown as a douche.
As long as they keep showing his bountiful basket, I'm okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Oh my God! Yeah, I was like, "What are you wearing, sir?" I was like,
"There's a lot of blurring going on."
That is like, I was like, "That is like nothing. That is like, I don't know, muslin or whatever. I don't know fabrics." But it was just like Jesus.
Did you bring your baseball bat to the island with you?
Yeah, exactly. The only thing point that I thought was interesting was when the old guy was sort of walking around, he went up to the water well. He was like, I'm going to grab this little token because I'm going to maybe fake it as an idol later. But then when the girl got the clue, it said there's an idol over by the thing. Did he accidentally grab the idol?
Yeah.
No, he did. Well, that's exactly what happened.
He didn't know it was an idol, but he was like, this could come in handy later. He doesn't know. But he totally has the idol. Yeah.
Why would they just put it in plain sight? Don't they usually hide them? I mean,
well, sometimes they do, but in seasons past, they'll put it in plain sight and disguise it as something. Like now, this was like it was like tied to the handle, almost like it's something that you could like
a trinket, to
pick the handle up,
Right. In times past, on like the barrel of rice, there was like a curved sort of like design on it on like a raised wooden panel, and they take it off and it's an immunity idol. You know what I mean? So if you ever see something that looks slightly out of the ordinary, pick it up because it could be an idol.
Interesting. So
basically be a hoarder in your camp.
That's right.
A weird piece of rock could be an idol. A tree could be an idol. Pick it up.
So Casey, having this be your second, right, Survivor season
in a row,
in a long time,
since
in a
the
row.
first and second, yeah.
Yeah. How are you feeling about it so far?
I mean, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's, and I didn't watch the first Blood and Water, so I was just kind of like, oh, this could get really ugly. But actually, I mean, it's the beginning of the show, so of course it's gonna be very emotional. And then, in a couple of weeks, it's gonna be like very cutthroat. I'm sure, like, I can't wait to kick my dad's ass or whatever. I mean,
it actually gets more dramatic as it goes on. I always feel like in the beginning they're always like, it's a game, we get it, we're playing against each other. But as it gets closer and when it gets tighter and tighter, that's when you see claws come out, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, I keep wondering if of the twin who's left is gonna like self-destruct when she sees her other half is gone.
She will.
And I'm just like, maybe you're the less annoying one. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. I think that the great thing was that the big immunity challenge that happened, it looks for certain like it was going to go to the orange team. Then all of a sudden, randomly, in the last second in the puzzle, it went to the other team. That is kind of the amazing stuff that I look forward to in Survivor. It's like, what? The team with the professional baseball player didn't win? They were like right there. How did that happen? And so, I live for shit like that. And so, I mean, Amazing Race usually has stuff like that too, but I just don't find it as compelling. I don't know how it's won 10 damn Emmys.
I totally agree. I've never found Amazing Race to be as compelling as Survivor, and yet they always win the Emmy. I don't get it.
There was one season I liked where it was Joyce and Ukena, and she had to like shave her head, and they were such a great couple, and they were like estranged, and then they got together, and the show saved their marriage or whatever. That was compelling. That was a compelling season. That was like, I don't know, 8 or 9 seasons ago. It was ages ago. It was. I remember talking about it with my girlfriends at work. That's how long ago it was. I was working at the time. But no, I'm really liking it. It's definitely appointment TV for me.
Excellent.
8 o'clock on Thursdays. I know where I am gonna be.
It's on Wednesdays though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's on Wednesdays now.
Be a day late.
Oh my God! I thought it was on. Oh, that's right. It was on Wednesdays. Why did they move it? I much preferred it on Thursdays.
It's always on Wednesdays, I think.
Yeah, I think.
No, it was on Thursday last year.
Was it? Are you sure?
Yeah. Thursday Survivor night.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Remember it's Wednesday.
I remember virtually getting together with then Stephen Konchelik on my laptop in my living room on a Wednesday night.
What?
Yeah.
Well, as long as you reminded me, it's Wednesday at 8. That's good to know. Now I'll have to remember myself.
Yeah. Well, for me, I really enjoyed the season opener. I will agree. I don't think it was as enjoyable as when they did Blood versus Water the first time. I think part of that is because we don't have returning players this time.
Yeah.
They're all new. Yeah. And so with returning players, when they enter the game, most of them are playing to win right away.
But also you're already invested because you know who they are.
Exactly.
You're getting to know
exactly.
them.
Yep.
Right.
So it's on, you're ready to go. Last time they did this, I'm like, now we have, this stupid football player dude, but, it's Monica's husband, and I love Monica, but I really hate her husband, and fuck, now I don't know what to do.
Well, as long as they bring back Boston Rob and Amber now that they're married, they're blood and water now. Yeah.
Amber. So I think I'm just feeling my way through the new people and trying to get to know them, and I think that's part of why it seems like a slower start to me. But I did kind of like some of the emotional stuff. I mean, they played it a little heavy, but when the firefighter and his wife had to compete against each other after like trash talking, and she was like, "Well, I don't need you to carry me or protect me," and then she was having trouble. I felt bad for her. She was trying to lift herself above that bar, and I'm like, there's no way I could do that. Like, mad props to her. And he's all like skinny and lithe, and And
then he got more emotional than she did about the. And that kind of touched me a little bit. You know what I mean? Because it did.
I think if I were like much skinnier, and Jim and I were on that show, and we were on separate teams, we would have kind of a good-natured competition. But like, I'm pretty sure if I was struggling, he would feel really bad, and vice versa. What I mean? Especially if it meant either leaving the game or, getting a disadvantage. So I think that's a hard position to be in with your loved one. But I also think it's pretty awesome to put them into that position.
It's good, compelling TV.
It's good, compelling TV, right? You know? So I'm totally interested to see where things go. I do like the guys from is it Louisiana, the Cajun boys?
Yeah.
Yeah, the father and son.
Oh, I do like them, yeah.
They seem really cool. At first, when I saw them, I'm like, oh, God, here we go. And then when you get to know them a little bit, it's like, I really like them. They have great chemistry. They're really cool, open people. I mean, they just I'm rooting for them.
Yeah.
Yep, me too.
And I'm surprised how much because I saw, when they start releasing videos of the couples before the show, and I saw the gay couple, I was like, oh God, I'm gonna hate these queens so much. Like they're even on Broadway. Like this is
right.
But then I like both of them quite a lot.
Yeah,
and they are just kicking ass.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I'm like, great, because one of my big problems with Survivor is usually whenever we have gay guys on, and I don't mean this disparagingly, but it's always the stereotypical.
It's the same type. It's the same type. Right. Yeah. Because it's CBS. That's CBS. All of its shows function in archetypes and stereotypes.
Exactly. And
they have to have that type.
Yeah, and last time we had Blood versus Water, we had Caleb on again, and his partner, bless his heart, he has passed away, unfortunately. After the filming of that season, but it was interesting because his partner, Colton was the returning player, and his partner was Caleb, and Caleb was the one who passed away. But Caleb was very much like a non-stereotypical kind of quiet bear kind of guy, and I'm like, oh, this is great! Like finally a gay who is not that stereotypical, Yeah, and I mean, there's nothing wrong.
No. But when there's so many different types of gay guys,
Exactly. We can't always be represented by that particular type on television.
Right.
It's frustrating and very short-sighted at this point. Yeah.
So it's like let's have a little diversity, and
let's have Michael Sam on there.
Right. Or Tuck Watkins. Let's have Tuck Watkins up on there. Celebrity Survivor.
But like you, Casey, I mean, I was watching some of the casting videos and stuff, and I'm just kind of like, well, here we go, another stereotypical, And then I was just very pleasantly surprised. I like both of them a lot. I hope that they do well. I'm wondering if they're going to both make it to the merge, and then
that would be awesome.
Power player couple, you know what I mean? So there's a lot here that has me potentially excited, but I agree it is a bit of a slower start. But I have to say, having watched Big Brother all summer long, 3 times a week, it's so interesting to watch Survivor again because I'd never seen Big Brother before. And like with Big Brother, Casey, I know you don't like it. Steven, I'm not sure if you've ever seen it.
I've never watched it because it just doesn't look interesting.
Yeah, so it's kind of a similar concept in that, you have competitions for immunity and you vote somebody out every week. But the thing is, they take 3 episodes a week to do all of that. The same stuff that Survivor does in 1 episode.
Not a lot even happens on that show.
Right.
You know why? Because it's live. Editing is every piece of entertainment's best friend.
Agreed.
You need a good editor. You need editing. And so Survivor is brilliant because of that editing.
Definitely. So in watching this week, I just found myself having a renewed appreciation for the format of, we have some of the in-between challenge stuff, but we've got our challenges, we have our tribal council, and at the end it's all in a neat, tidy bow with Jeff Probst saying something catty about, apparently it's a tribe divided, go home, You
guys have a lot to work on when you get
I was like, do they really? Like, I was like, come on, Jeff, let's be serious. Like, that worked out pretty well. Like, it doesn't mean, I don't think this team is like splintering or anything. Like, come on now.
Yeah, but I do have to say it was funny, like, because I mean I like Jeff Probst, but he's always had his Jeff Probsty shtick, and over the last 7 or 8 seasons he's gotten way more vocal during challenges, like narrating them and making comments like,
"Come on, girl,
you
gotta dig deep,
I'm like, Jeff, you gotta stop. Like this.
I know. I'm like, come on. And I'm like, well, there's probably not much more that Jeff Probst could do to, like, make me roll my eyes. But then, like, in the opening minute of the show, when he's, like, on the side of the helicopter, and he's like, 29 days, 19 people, 1 survivor, and then he, like, dive bombs holding onto the side of the helicopter. Like, you totally know that's...
Did you notice during his first speech to all the guys, there was like a big horsefly that would not leave him alone?
Oh, I noticed that.
And they could not save it in the editing because apparently Jeff Probst is like catnip to flies or whatever.
Well,
so, maybe it means he's very sweet like honey and flies like honey, not vinegar.
I was reading an article on I forget where it was, but one of the production assistants, I guess, was quoted that Jeff Probst, like, his hair gel and stuff, like, it smells really sweet, and so it attracts it attracts flies.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you're wearing a hat. You don't have to wear hair gel.
Yeah, don't put hair gel. Exactly. I feel like he should give it up. It'd be it's sort of like an act of solidarity with his survivors. Like, I'm gonna sacrifice my hair gel for you people.
Yeah,
right. Like he would do that,
No, he never would. He's a total diva.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love Jeff Probst, though.
I do too.
No, I think he's a great host.
Yeah, absolutely.
He really is.
Absolutely. Yeah. So. All right. Well, any final thoughts on Survivor? Obviously, we're going to continue watching. I don't know that we'll talk about it every week, but
yeah.
Right.
I'm excited to see where it goes, and I think it's a good dynamic. I think it's something that can't really go wrong. It just might not be as strong as the first time, but it could be even better. You never know. It just depends.
Right. Well, apparently we get a sneak preview that like somebody quits.
There's
some other shit going on, so we'll see. It's kind of like last season where that chick quit because they voted out the guy that she was like obsessed with. Like, I can't go on now, so she quit. I was like, okay, AMF. Like, I don't know. I remember her name, who the guy was. It was so early on.
I know.
But that didn't surprise me seeing that. I was just like, well, if one person has a family member gone. Mm-hmm. Somebody's gonna crack. Somebody's not gonna be able to deal with that.
It's interesting because I think the reality of the game once you get out there is probably way different than being a fan and watching it on TV or what you think it will be in your mind. Like if you go out there and everyone hates you or no one will play ball with you, that's so isolating. You know what I mean?
It is.
Or if you are failing challenges and your tribe, it just, I can see how it would be very easy to sort of break your spirit if you're not kind of a strong, emotionally fortified person. So I'm glad that they now overcast for each season, anticipating that at least one will be medevaced and at least one will.
Exactly.
Right. I remember that happened the second season. That's the first time someone was medevaced, someone fell into the fire.
Yeah,
and it was just like it was Mike, I think. And that was like major. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe this finally happened 2 seasons in.
I know.
This had to happen.
And that was so jarring too because after that happened, you see Mike scooping in the water, holding his hands like above the water with flesh like falling off of them. And I could not believe that CBS, showed that. But I
good
did
TV.
have
good TV.
I know. But I do have one final Survivor question before we move on to our plugs and wrap up.
Yeah.
Do you think that Survivor makes it too easy on them now? Like, now they get machetes and pots, and they always have a freshwater well.
I noticed that at one point when they're building things, the guy had a hammer. I'm like, where did he get a hammer? Right. Have a hammer?
Right. I was like, come on now. First and second season didn't have any of that shit. Second season, they had their camp get washed away. And the cameras were there capturing it. But it did nothing.
It kind of feels like, you should start out with nothing, and as you win challenges, you can get stuff like fishing gear, or machete, or tarps, or whatever. But I agree. Like, they get to camp, and they're just like, oh, can I borrow the chainsaw? Get the backhoe.
He's like, wait a second here. Right, exactly. At this point, this is like Survivor glamping, sort of.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, wait a second here. Is there like a power outlet back there too? Like they wouldn't start charging their cell phone?
One of the things that I used to really love about Survivor, even as recent as like 6 or 7 seasons ago, they did one where they gave each tribe one machete and one bag of rice And that was it. They were making pots out of like coconut shells, and they really had to be resourceful.
Well,
but I
also remember there was one season where they like arrived on a boat and there was all this stuff attached to the boat, and he said, "You've got 1 minute to grab as much stuff as you can and take it to shore with you." And I thought that was an interesting tactic also, because it's like you had to strategize. Well, there's a machete, but there's a chicken, and there's some rice. Like which one do we go for? And you don't know who your team members are going to be, so you don't know. You can't strategize like you get that and you get that. You have to pick the thing that's most important to you.
Right.
So I thought that was an interesting tactic too, but they haven't revisited that.
All right. Well, Survivor, listen up. The glamping stuff. We need to scale back a little bit.
I know. We want these people to what are they shaving too? Are they waxing their legs and things? We want these people to look scruffy and gross and dirty, because that's what we want Survivor for.
And that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Thank you for reminding me. So all of the men obviously start out shaved, usually, at the beginning of the season. It's always interesting to me to watch, the men that end up sticking around, how hairy they get by the end of the season. So who looks like they could be a potential furball in a couple weeks?
Well, John, the baseball player, possibly.
Yeah. If he sticks around, I don't know if he'll make it. Once they know he's a baseball player, they're going to put a target on him.
Right. Or like Jimmy Johnson or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of anyone in particular. Like, both the gay guys don't look like they have much hair.
No.
Right.
Or they just shaved and waxed it all off. It'll grow back.
Right. Exactly. I was thinking like the Cajun dad. He looked way too smooth, and his son just looked way too unnaturally smooth for his I don't know. Not that you can tell by looking at someone's face and facial hair necessarily, but have you ever just seen a guy that looks too smooth and you know that it's not natural?
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm probably have that skin disease or something, but
I'm probably just way overthinking it. But yeah. Anyway,
you're just
fantasizing. Right, I am. You know what? Me on an island with a bunch of hairy men—that is a big fantasy. So.
Bear Survivor. I would watch that.
That would be funny. That would be awesome. All right. Well, let's move on to some plugs, guys. I will go first. For me this week. I actually have two. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
That's all right.
One is the Simpsons Family Guy crossover episode. I watched that today. I've watched neither Simpsons or Family Guy in a really long time, but I heard they were doing it, and so I watched it on Hulu today, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. I was kind of surprised. For me, Family Guy kind of lost its charm 3 years ago at this point. But I liked a lot of the stuff that they did, sort of interplaying and riffing off Simpsons and vice versa. So I don't know if you guys have seen that, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was.
I have not watched it.
It was good times. And the thing is that you don't have to be current on Simpsons or Family Guy to know what's going on and understand. So it's like the perfect, perfect storm there. And then my other plug, believe it or not, guys, my plug for the week is season 1 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, Jesus.
What?
So, yeah, I know.
You had to drink the Kool-Aid.
I know. So here's the thing. I still stand by the fact that early on in the show, it was pretty putrid. It was pretty awful. I did not like it. It wasn't until, I think, episode 17 that it started to really gel for me. And that was when we hit the, when the show caught up with Captain America the Winter Soldier, and the plot became concurrent with that. And, Steven, you had mentioned that to me previously. You were like, Brad, just wait, it gets better. And, at this point, I still have the season finale to watch. I'm that caught up. I watched a lot of it, and if the show had been like that from the beginning, not necessarily those same plot elements, but just that feel and tone, I think it would have been an incredible show that would have had me hooked from the beginning. I've noticed that obviously the tone changes because of the plot elements, but also too just the character interplays. There's less of the quippy one-liners and stupid, oh, we're a family, blah 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 blah. and just more of the like cool like spy stuff. It's kind of
Team
smart,
building,
witty.
yeah.
Exactly. So, so my plug with a little asterisk: season 1 of Agents of Shield, episodes 17 through 22.
Yeah.
So basically, the last 5 episodes of the show.
Yeah. I think
basically.
it's actually like the last 8. I would say the last 8 around there. It starts getting good. The last 5 are really good. But it had sort of a lead in with this. I think they even started calling it, like there was some name they were calling it when they were advertising it. It's like, the Dark Fall or something like that.
Okay.
So they started even in the advertising, they were sort of like, we're taking a turn. We know it sucks. we're learning from it. But yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad the show has gotten better. I will finish the season and obviously start watching with season 2 that already has premiered, and we'll see where it goes from there. But anyway, I just wanted to bow to you, Mr. Heslin, and say thank you for encouraging me to stick with it. And
it was a tough task, but somebody had to do it.
That's true.
I suffered through a lot to get to something worth recommending.
Oh my God!
Thank you for suffering for me, so that I would know there was light at the end. So, all right, Casey Scott, what have you got this week?
I also have 2 plugs. One is quick. One is a new show that I really am surprised that I really like is Madam Secretary on CBS, which is Sunday nights at 8 before Good Wife. And Good Wife I have a lot to catch up on. I've only watched a few episodes of season 1, but Madam Secretary is Taya Leone as the Secretary of State, and she's really good. It's surprisingly good for network TV political drama.
Okay.
I really like it, so I'll get that plug out of the way.
Awesome.
Now, the big plug, which I actually took notes on because I watched it all day, was Transparent. I binge watched all of Transparent on Amazon Prime, and that show is so good.
Oh,
it's so good. It lives up to the pilot
it.
And then some. Yeah, it is so good. I took so some of the notes I took. So the opening credits features footage of the movie The Queen underneath it, and so the title of the show appears over footage of Pepper LaBeija, who was part of the House of LaBeija from Paris is Burning. I saw my friends Holly Woodlawn and Alexis Del Lago are members of a gay apartment community. They have little cameos. Bradley Whitford's really good on it. Catherine Hahn is on it. Michaela Watkins, Carrie Brownstein from Portlandia.
Oh wow.
Jill Soloway, she's able to take these comedians and put them in sort of funny, dramatic roles. And I forgot she did a movie called Afternoon Delight with Catherine Hahn and Juno Temple, which was really good, and it came out last year. And she uses a lot of those same cast members in this show. There's a really hot trans comedian named Ian Harvey who is in it, and I want to have his children, or vice versa, if that would work. But Ian Harvey is super hot. And my favorite line from the show is, "Big girls have bush, daddy." I will not give any more context to what that is about, but it's super good.
I can imagine, because we talked about the first episode last week, and I forgot to mention that thing was like huge. I was like, do they
Gabby
come
Hoffman
that big?
Gabby Hoffman is very proud of her bush.
Yeah.
And she has no qualms doing nudity at all, which is fine by me. I love her, but the show totally lived up to the pilot and then some. I watched it the whole day. I loved every minute.
Oh, that's great. I can't wait. That's sweet.
Yeah. So watch Transparent.
Awesome. All right. How about you, Steven? What do you got?
Mine will just be quick. I just wanted to plug a little show called Saturday Night Live.
Is it good again?
I don't know yet. The season opener was this past weekend with Chris Pratt, and I just love Chris
Pratt. As He-Man and Ariana Grande as She-Ra. I saw that.
Oh, no.
So... it's one of those things. The reason why I want to plug it isn't so much just because every episode's different, and there's some episodes that are hits and some that are misses. But it's I just think it's a show that people. I think it's an institution that it's sort of like Simpsons is an institution, and I feel like there's times when you just sort of give up on it because you're like, oh, I'm tired of it. But I kind of feel like this is one of those times where they are recycling the cast, and they're sort of getting into a new group of people, and I think those are the times when you really need to support it, and watch it and give it a chance, because you never know who the next breakout star might be. The next Kristen Wiig, and stuff like that. So, and Kate McKinnon, I think, is sort of the next Kristen Wiig. I know she can be.
Oh, she's great.
A little bit much at times, but and she's a lesbian too. So,
there you go.
But yeah.
Let's be honest.
I would.
Let's be honest. She's the breakout star of SNL.
But yeah, I think it's just a good time to kind of check in on it and give it a watch. You can fast forward through most of this stuff and watch a couple sketches here and there and be good.
Awesome.
Right. Did they add new cast members this season?
They added a few new ones. And they trimmed a bunch of last season. For some reason, Lorne Michaels had this idea of throwing in like 10 featured players.
Yeah,
the featured players are like, it was a stupid idea because they'd never got enough screen time. None of them really ever did all that well. So they got rid of like half of those, and then or more than half. I think they only kept like 2 of them or something. Jesus. And then they added a couple new guys and.
They brought in the worst. They brought in the worst Weekend Update anchor of the show's history, and he's still on there somehow.
He is actually the head writer.
He is god awful. Colin Yost.
Colin Yost.
He is the worst Weekend Update person ever.
I totally agree.
Every season.
Like him, but I read an article about him, and he has been on the show, working with the show. For like something like 12 years or something like that.
That explains a lot. I tweet at him and tell him he's horrible. That's how much I go to the extra effort, and I started a hashtag saying "Get rid of Yost." And on the very first episode that he was on, I said, "This is bullshit. Get somebody else in here." Yeah, it was a terrible hire.
Wow.
But there are some good cast members on there. Kate McKinnon's really good.
Yeah.
Beck Bennett is amazing. And
so I mean, it's definitely worth giving it a shot.
Awesome. Very good. I do see that Hulu has got the most recent episode. So I just saw the He-Man Lion-O sketch on YouTube, sort of as a standalone. So totally want to go back and watch the whole episode. I haven't really sat down and watched SNL. Like in probably 10 years.
Yeah, it's tough at times. I mean, there's definitely some sketches that you're just like, what? Why did you guys even think that was remotely funny? But, but then you'll get these ones that are just like, oh my god, you're brilliant, So I know they gotta, they throw stuff at the wall and just see what sticks.
Awesome.
Right.
Good times. All right. Well, guys, that wraps us up for this week. This is so much fun. I'm so glad that we're back on hiatus, guys. I've really missed this. This is great.
Yeah, me too.
Next week should be crazy. So we got to decide. I imagine we're doing Flash and Arrow. Yes.
I would think so.
That's right, because that starts soon. Yeah.
Yeah. That's next. It's next week, right?
I think it's so we won't be able to do it for next week's show, but something starts this week. And there's definitely not a lack of stuff to talk about.
Yeah. So we'll figure out offline, but next week is a great week for TV. So definitely tune in. A lot of shows are starting up, but we will figure out what we're going to talk about, and we'll see you all next week. Have a good one. Take care.
Bye, guys. Later.